Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Apprenticeship Wall webinar. Hopefully you can see my screen and the agenda of what we're going to be covering today. My name is Vlad Lebedincev. I am the Assistant Superintendent for Career and Technical Education here at Eaton-Risa and happen to be involved with the project as Eaton-Risa was selected to be the fiscal agent for this program, this award program. If our colleagues, we have Candace and Betsy and Chris, if you guys don't mind unmuting and introducing yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Candace Vinson. I am an education consultant in the Office of Career and Technical Education at the Department of Education, and I have the pleasure of working with Vlad as the MDE side of the project management.
All right, great. Betsy?
Hi, I'm Betsy Mock, and I'm the founder of Conduit to the Trades, and we put up the apprenticeship walls across the state.
Perfect. And Chris?
Hi, I'm Chris Dykstra. I work for Eaton-Risa. I'm a career development coordinator and worked with Betsy initially in the beginning stages of the apprenticeship wall and kind of worked with building the partnership with MDE to get the grant funding started.
Hey, perfect. Thank you. As I mentioned, thanks again for joining the phone call or the webinar call today. Our goal for the hour, and I don't think we'll be here the whole hour, but we will start out with just a brief overview of the apprenticeship wall. We'll talk about the timeline of what is kind of expected from now until the end of the project. We will review the sample application process. Some of you have already started that, or some of you have already submitted. And then talk about our FAQ at the very end with some questions that we've received from many of you or even from our first round of applicants. So this is the second round. We've learned a lot from our first round, made some tweaks and adjustments, and here we are for the second round. So why don't we go ahead and get started? Betsy, do you mind providing just a brief overview on the apprenticeship wall?
Sure. So the apprenticeship wall is what I consider a 24/7 career exploration tool for all of your schools and career tech centers. Some of them have them too. And what they involve is a conglomeration of 15 building trades across the state of Michigan and workforce development programs that are available to get people up to speed to get into apprenticeships. And with all of the walls, they are customized to each one of the school districts, even down to the township matters with the jurisdiction sometimes. And then we are offering 3 package sizes with the grant. We have a package A, which is 16.5 feet wide by 7 feet tall. We have a package B, which is 12 feet wide by 6 feet tall. And then the package C, which is 8 feet wide by 4 feet tall. And then we're also adding on the add-on option of up to 4 counselor boards, which have all of the same trades on them, but they're more generalized so that we can mass produce them for the state for use for one-on-one or small group counseling needs.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So let's talk about the timeline of round 2, because that's why we're all here today. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this and open up the timeline document. We have some dates here that are listed. In general, the project is running from October through April 2026. So in September, you've seen, or many of you have seen the memo that was sent out announcing the Apprenticeship Wall project via this memo announcement. Last Friday, October 6th, that's when the Q&A submission was due by 5 p.m. to our administrative assistant, Danielle Patterson at dpatterson@eatonrisa.org. Today is obviously October 10th, so we are hosting this online recorded webinar. It is recorded. We will be sending it out and sharing the link on our website for those that weren't able to join us today, obviously from 10 to 11 a.m. The application itself is due October 17th. It's 1 week from today at 4 p.m. And we'll be showing you the sample application here, or what are some of the questions and answering those questions as well today. But it's in Google form. It's a pretty simple application to get through. Yes, there are quite a few questions on there, but at the end of the day, it's not too bad. Between October 17th and November 3rd is when our team is going to review all of the applications, and by November 3rd, we will be sending an email out to all applicants of either an approval or denial status, right? So if you're approved, you will be receiving an email, and same thing if for some reason you are denied, which is certainly not our intent. We want to approve as many applications as we can. You'll be receiving that email as well. And you're going to also, it's going to include Betsy, who you just met just momentarily ago, a few moments ago. She will be CC'd on the email as well. Between November and January 9th, in those 2 months or so, that's when Betsy's going to take on the major part of the project on our end. And she's going to be reaching out to the school district main program contact. So whoever is designated as the main program contact, that is your main person that's going to be responsible from the school end to kind of coordinate this project. That's why you're listed as the main contact. So she will be emailing them directly, communicating and verifying the application. So looking at the size options, because you have to select the size option of the wall that you want, the installation space, the logo of the actual district that you work for, and the tentative shipment date and expectations of the actual event that you have to, the events you have to hold. She will also then communicate with the print shop for printing and delivery. So there's a specific print shop that she uses. And then also all aspects of printing and then delivery to your site. All program contacts are required to attend the Michigan Career Education Conference. The whole entire conference, where part of that conference, we will actually host a training. That is still yet to be determined on what day it's going to be held, but you are required to attend the entire conference and register yourself for that entire conference. Now, that is an assurance, and I'm sorry, I'm getting a buzz here. That is an assurance that you have set in your application that you're sure to do, and part of your award can be used to reimburse your district to pay for your attendance at this conference. Okay. January 30th is the next deadline. That is the deadline for Betsy, really, to actually ship the wall to your school. And then you get another about month or so to actually get the wall installed. About a month after that is when we're asking all of our award recipients to host 2 events. One is a staff training event for your building staff. So we would like all of your staff to participate and learn how to use the wall, best practices of the wall, really getting them involved. And then also an apprenticeship focused community event where you bring in your parents, your partners, other stakeholders to really get a chance to see the wall and the purpose of it as well. After that, after you've completed those events, you will then be receiving the MDE Impact Survey, which is quite simple, but to really help us gather some data on how this wall was used. And then you're also asked to submit a evidence of you hosting your staff training and then your apprenticeship focused community event. And in that, we will be collecting an event flyer, pictures, and any type of registration or sign-in sheet. So I can show you what that looks like as we are actually collecting that from round 1 applicants right now. It's very simple. This is what that form looks like. There's that survey where you can share out for your attendees, for both the staff and the community partners. This first round, we had a deadline of November 14th. Obviously, that's going to change for all of you that are on this call, but you're going to say yes or no if you hosted that Apprenticeship Wall staff training, and then you're going to add and submit evidence of if you did or not. And then same thing with the community event. Did you do it? Yes. Hopefully all of you will hit yes, and then submit any type of evidence. Okay, and really after that, after April 10th, that gives us about 20 days after all that is due for Eaton RESA then to process your $3,500 award. So each school that participates in this will be receiving a $3,500 award. And obviously part of that award can be used to support the costs involved with the conference, support some of the costs involved with hosting these events. And then maybe, depending on how your district decides to do this, it would be a local district decision, perhaps even pay a stipend to the individual that's coordinating coordinating some of these efforts as well. Okay, next we'd like to talk about the sample application process. So again, we've had many of you already start filling this application out, but in case if you haven't, or if you have any questions, we're gonna go through that next. And we're gonna, let me double check. I am on the wrong one. So let me open it up once more. Give me 1 second. There we go. And I want to do this side so we can see what it looks like. All right, so as I mentioned, the application is due Friday, October 17th at 4 p.m. The first part is really basic information on who is your building and program main contact. This is the main person that is going to serve as the one that attends all the training and serves as kind of the liaison between Conduit to the Trades, MDE, and Eaton RESA to figure all that out, all the steps required. So you have to list the name, first and last name, the phone number, the email address, and whatever the position they happen to be in. The second step is the school district. So the school district name, this is for high school buildings, local education agencies only at this time. Career centers are not approved at this time according to MDE. So we're asking it's only your high school building name of where the location will be, where the wall will be held, the full mailing shipping address, and then the municipality served, the name of those municipalities. So specifically, as Betsy mentioned earlier, we want to make sure that it's custom to your particular area. And in those conversations that you will be having with Betsy, we want to make sure that it's clear ahead of time within the application. Name of the counties served. And then the next part is the building maintenance and operations contact. So sometimes this is usually your director of building maintenance or operations, basically the person who's overseeing or is responsible for the installation of the wall. So their first and last name, their phone number, their email address, and then finally your business director. So who is overseeing the finance part of this? So their first and last name, their phone number, and their official email address. Okay. The next part of the questions, I'm going to actually go back and scroll down. Section 2, this is where you have to figure out what kind of wall would you like, what size of a wall would you like. There's 3 different options. There's 16.5 by 7, 12 foot by 6, or 8 by 4. So you can choose one of these options. We'd like the wall to be placed somewhere where there's a high traffic area. So whether it's a near main entrance, a cafeteria, or outside of cafeteria where there's a lunch lineup, inside the entrance that's used perhaps for a sporting or a community event, or even a main hallway where students pass through several times a day or something else in particular. This next question is, would you like up to 4 additional smaller walls? 2 by 3 is the size that they are. And these could be placed in additional counselor offices or classrooms. So we're allowing up to 4 in the same school building. If you have another school building, you have to resubmit a completely separate application with a with a different program contact for that particular school building. So this is just the 4 of the same similar type walls for that same building, for that same program contact. And if you answered yes to the previous question, we are asking for you to specifically specify how many. Do you want 1? Do you want 2? Do you want 3? Or do you want 4? Section 3 is all about assurances. So in this assurances, it gives you a link for the Michigan Career Education Conference. That's January 25th through 27th. You again are responsible to register yourself for the conference. You can do so by clicking on this link. You can figure out the logistics for registration and the hotel. And then you're basically agreeing to serve as the main person, the main contact person and the coordinator for this project. You're assuring that your district participates in state-approved CTE, whether they offer a program in your own district or you participate through your ISD's program. But because these are federal Perkins dollars, that is a requirement that your district participates in state-approved CT programming one way or another. Your administration is aware and supporting this project. You agree to register and attend the conference. Funds can cover lodging, conference registration, mileage, and associated conference costs on a reimbursable basis to the district. You agree to coordinate wall installation by the designated time of February 27, 2026. And that you agree to host those events that we talked about previously. So the community event, the staff training, the evidence is submitted on time, and then that impact survey that is supposed to be completed as well. All right, we're on to our last and final section, the district upload. So we're asking all of our applicants to submit a W-9 or an ACH form, combine those as one PDF and name them as district name, whatever your district name is. So for example, if you're from Grand Ledge Schools, it would be Grand Ledge Schools and Files. That's what the upload would be called, and upload that into this component right here. The second one is your school's logo and color chart, if available, or if you use that. But we're asking for a high resolution PDF, JPEG, PNG, or EPS file. So again, Grand Ledge, and then logo would be the file name, and upload that. And then finally, the district name, Grand Ledge in this case, for example, and then the location. So that would be the picture of where the apprenticeship wall will be installed. So we need to kind of get a better understanding of where it is going to be installed and upload that. And then finally, the assurances. So you would open up the assurances document. There may be a few signatures on there that the superintendent or designee has to sign, and you would list it and save it as your district name, assurances, and then upload that. Before I continue, Candace or Betsy or anybody else, is there anything else I'm missing that I may have not covered on the application that any of you would like to jump in on?
No, I think you're doing great. Everything looks good. Thanks, Vlad.
All right, thanks, Candace. All right, so the next part is, where is this application held and how do you access it? So we did send it out in that link, but it's also on the Eaton RESA website. So multiple ways to access this. You can go to eatonresa.org/apprenticeship wall. That is one quick, easy way to access that. Or if you go to just eatonresa.org and you click on, or you hover above what we offer, you click on career and technical education, the apprenticeship wall link is on the right-hand side right there, where you can click that and get right to that page. So the first thing you see is, this is an example of what the wall looks like. And you have some information about the wall similar to what we just talked about and mentioned today, some of the assurances, what the wall's purpose is, the background, the eligibility, the submission information, and the link to actually submit. Any type of questions that you may have could be directed to Danielle Patterson, the link to the Zoom today that you're on, and other information. If you want to look at any of our frequently asked questions that we have been receiving over the last 6 or so months doing this project, you can click this little plus button to open it up, and you can see the main questions that are listed. So who are the main players? Are local school districts that are approved for an apprenticeship wall considered a subrecipient? We get this question often, especially from the business officials, and the answer is no. Eaton Resa is only the subrecipient of this project. You're technically receiving an award. Question 3 is, what are the district's responsibilities and assurances? We covered that earlier. What is a stipend? A stipend is a fixed amount of money paid to support an expense. It is not a reimbursement. Question 5 covers who qualifies for the stipend. We get this question often. Question 6, can a school district apply for multiple local schools? No. Each school must apply individually, and each school has to have their own individual program context. So even if you're in a district of 3 high schools, for example, Each of those 3 high schools, if they're applying, they need to have their own program contact, and each of those 3 individuals need to attend the training. Business officials may ask questions on what financial codes should districts use for the wall and stipend. There's some information on that. There's some uses that are appropriate for the $3,500 stipend. So specifically, again, probably the biggest cost that you will experience is covering the cost of the trainer-to-trainer session, which is going to be held again at the Michigan Career Education Conference in January in Grand Rapids. The lodging, the conference fees, perhaps an employee stipend if your district approves that. And then hosting the training that you will then be responsible for at your local district. What are not appropriate uses for the $3,500 stipend? So that's additional counselor boards in neighboring high schools. Again, each school has to apply for their own. And then food and beverage for the community event. This is a federal grant that we are using. These are federal dollars, and food and beverage cannot be paid for out of these funds. The other questions, again, there's some other questions you can kind of click around and see if you're interested in have those. If you have other questions, you can certainly raise your hand and unmute and use this opportunity to ask those questions today. Or you can also email our administrative assistant, Danielle Patterson, and she'll be sure to either respond or forward them to the appropriate party for additional assistance. Finally, if you haven't applied yet, again, you can use this link or this button here to apply, and the application is due October 17th by 4 p.m. So I'm going to pause and open the floor up for any questions that anybody may have on the call. So if you have any questions, feel free to unmute and go ahead and ask the question. We'll do our best to answer it.
I have a question. What do the community events typically look like for this program?
Sure. Candace, do you want to cover that?
Yeah, so the community events are meant to raise awareness in your community with local employers and with families, students of all ages to simply raise awareness about registered apprenticeship and the opportunities that are potentially within your own backyard. So these are events where you can invite those who you know are offering apprenticeship opportunities. They may or may not be represented on the wall. So the wall can only give us so much information. The community event is made to go above and beyond that information, bring in those local folks. I also see a great potential for local employers to benefit from learning about registered apprenticeship for their own use. We have many, many local employers who are very interested in registered apprenticeship but don't quite know how to get started. So those events are designed to give those folks a little bit of an idea of how do I get started here. Most school districts that I'm aware of have been doing them in the evenings. I would work with every region has a My Family center director who may be able to help with planning of that regional event or your local event. You might also have district folks who specialize in the family community outreach piece that can help with planning there too. From there, for parents and families to learn more about apprenticeship opportunities, not just for their student or their little who one day is going to be a big who's looking for a job, but also for their own growth and development. We have schools are simply the cornerstone of our communities. And so it's a way to get the message out to everyone about all the opportunities that exist in registered apprenticeship. We have many careers that folks don't consider. I have a big community event coming up in November that is specifically surrounding registered apprenticeships for early childhood workers. So any career field can be apprenticed. My friends over at Labor and Economic, and I know one of them is on the call right now, They often like to point out that we have apprenticeships in our state for winemaking and for beekeeping. So we often think about our industry trades and our union specific apprenticeships like IBEW and operating engineers. But there is an apprenticeship out there for everybody. And there are opportunities for all businesses to engage in registered apprenticeship as well, so that they are building their own workforce and retaining their employees in the long run. Because registered apprenticeship is a great way to get into a profession, but it's an even better way to stay in and grow in a profession in a way where you're fully prepared. The other piece with these events that I think really teased out in round one is that families, and I'm going to use my own, I have college age kids, right? So I have a lot of friends who also have college age kids. And many of my friends have said, well, they don't really want to go to college. And so I think they're just going to go be an electrician for IBEW. And I've said, like being an electrician for IBEW is not a fallback profession, right? There's math skills that have to be met. It's not easy actually to get into some of our most desired registered apprenticeship programs. And so I think that that's something too, to spread that awareness that some of our registered apprenticeship opportunities are highly competitive and that there are skills that can be developed in middle school and high school that help give students a better advantage into getting into some of those highly sought upon apprenticeship opportunities. So a little bit of everything, giving people the opportunity to walk up, touch the wall, scan the wall, share stories of some employers. And I know Betsy, she is going to connect you with a few kind of champions for your event, who are in positions represented on those walls. So I don't know, Betsy, if you want to share a little bit more about that too.
Sure. With the first phase, I kicked off what I call Adopt a School, and I send out a listing to the representatives from the different trades that are featured on the wall. And I asked them if there's some specific schools that they would like to adopt through this process and hopefully be there as a resource, maybe form a relationship with some of those trades if there isn't one already existing. And from there, maybe they're available, if they're available, that they can come to your community event and help out with that.
And then Vlad, you've got a question in the chat about specific information directions on what to do
Yep.
With reimbursement request, budget summary, and impact survey. I do want to point out again, this is not a reimbursement to districts. This is a stipend that you receive when you completed all of the required elements, which is different from a reimbursement.
Yep, and thank you, Candace. And question 7 in the FAQ. So that's exactly where it's at. So the local education agencies, LEAs, need to complete a budget summary with codes? No, LEAs will not need to complete the budget summary as they will receive a stipend. The evidence that will be collected as proof of attendance at the training, the record of the training at the building, the community event, and the administration of the survey which MDEOCT will provide. The other thing is the survey. It's very simple. I can show you what it looks like as we've recently released it to round 1 applicants. Let me just think of where I have it. Let me think, where did we put it? It should be here. So this is an example of what the survey would look like that you would send out to your participants in the community event and the staff training. So there's a question that talks about, were you able to look at the wall? Yes or no, a little or no. Before seeing the wall, so this is kind of the impact. What do you know about registered apprenticeships before? The benefits and the careers that are involved. Same type of questions, but then after seeing the apprenticeship wall, where did you see it? And if it's an employer, are they interested in learning more? And if it's staff, what was the most useful part? So there's like 12, 13 questions here that we're asking for the participants to respond to in this MDE impact survey. Okay, I see a couple more questions. So one question is, are there still grant funds to cover the cost of the wall? Yes, there are grant funds to cover the cost of the wall. That's what the purpose of this project is. And so all those that are approved, they will be receiving the wall free of charge. So whatever choice you choose out of those three options that are listed in the application, they all have a different cost amount, but that's not for you to worry about because that's something that the grant covers on our end between our agreement with us and Conduit to the Trades. What you receive as a school is that $3,500 stipend. How do the costs differ based on the varying wall sizes? It's the same thing. So again, that's nothing that the district should worry about. It's something that is covered between the grant, but the school districts are receiving their own stipend, and that's a flat rate of $3,500. The cost of that wall does not come out of that $3,500. The $3,500 is a direct stipend or award amount to the school district to use for those approved expenses. Good question. Any other questions? Okay. Well, it seems, unless you have anything else that you'd like to find. Oh, okay. So we are getting one more question. I see. Yes, I'm typing. All right. We're going to pause a little bit. No problem. All right. We have a couple questions. What would cause someone to be denied this grant? We first of all, it's got to be a local education agency, right? So you've got to be a public school and not a ISD or tech center. That would be the first. You do have to have all of the components filled out. We want to approve as many as possible, so we don't want to deny anybody. I think we're looking at maybe up to 50 or 60 walls we'd like to approve in this round. Candace, do you have any other thoughts on any potential reasons to deny?
I think too, sometimes I think on round one, we may have had this where someone can't attend the training. If you can't attend the training and you can't send someone to the training, then you can't uphold your end of the deal. If you can't install the wall within the time frame period,
Yep.
then you're not going to be approved. So basically, you have to be able to meet the parameters of what we need in order for you to receive the wall. And then in terms of the stipend, you have to then meet the parameters of what we've requested in terms of holding your community event, holding your staff training, and then provide us with evidence in order to have that. So it's kind of, think of it almost as a twofold, like you may get approved for one side, and then, when you go to submit your evidence for your stipends, if you haven't fulfilled your end of the agreement, then you would not receive said stipends. And so I hoping I'm answering that. The cost of the Michigan Career Ed Conference, I'll be honest, I don't know, but let me find the link to their website.
And that's in the application as well. So if I open it up, let's see here.
I think we ran into last time in round one where people did not register in time for the conference. So that is something also to keep in mind, that if you're applying for this, you should be registering for the conference. You don't have to be at the Sunday night portion of the conference. That's simply a reception. But you do have to attend all day Monday and Tuesday at the conference. The whole point of this entire project is to spread awareness. So is the department seeing value in incentivizing attendance of our conference so that you are not just learning about registered apprenticeship, but that you're also learning about other aspects of career development in our state. If you have multiple buildings and you are one lone person who oversees career development, we would be looking for you to, for every application, a person has to attend. So a counselor, a building assistant principal, those are appropriate people to bring with you. So you have a team if you've got multiple buildings. That's really important to us as well. We tend not to have counselors and assistant principals at our conferences unless they're heavily involved in career development. We'd like the rest of the team to be attending our conference. That's part of why we are incentivizing that. Dave, your questions in terms of specific information and directions, I believe that's all in the materials that Vlad has. And then the impact survey is something the department um, um, the department puts together the impact survey and that gets pushed out to anyone who has received the grant. And so that impact survey would be another thing that we request is distributed at the community event or to people who attended the community event. So, you know, thinking of I always think from like a fishing analogy, right? Like the bigger the net, the more fish you catch. The more ways that you distribute said survey, the better we're going to get for results.
Can I just add one thing really quickly?
Yeah.
So I have the link up here for the rates. So keep in mind, again, you have to come for 2 days of the conference. So if you register by October 15th, which you're kind of a little bit, you don't know yet, again, but most likely, as long as you meet the requirements, you should be approved for this for the wall. But the 2-day rate is $300 as early registration by October 15th. Regular registration has to be received by January 5th, and that's $350. So it goes up by a little bit, by $50 after that. But again, you are responsible. Your district is responsible. You have to go through the process of your own district, get those conference forms approved, get your supervisor to sign off on it, and register for the conference and the hotel that comes along with it. So that is something that is on you. And then by completing those requirements, as Candace had mentioned, you will then be receiving that. The district on your behalf will be receiving that stipend to use that funding to cover those costs. Any other questions? All really good questions. Okay. Well, we want to thank you all for joining us today. We hope to see all of your names in our applications, and we hope to approve as many as we can. So please apply. We'd love to get this out as much as possible to as many districts as possible across the state. So thank you again for attending our webinar. We hope to see you soon. One more question. Dave, there is no budget summary. Thanks, everybody.